Hey everyone, my name is Logan Fields. I'm the founder and creative director at the App Guys, and this is App Stories. Today we have Joanna Szewczyk with us, and she is the founder and CEO of PinMeApp, the #1 Pinterest management and automation software in the world. Joanna, thanks for coming on to tell the PinMeApp story.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just start with, how did you come up, well, what does the app do, and how did you come up with the idea for this?
Sure. So the app is a Pinterest automation tool. We basically take the hard part of manual pinning from the user's plate and we pin on their behalf. So all the user does, they describe from which board to which board and at what time we're going to repin their content so they can get better rankings on Pinterest in short amount of time, and they don't have to do the manual pinning every single day. They just schedule it with us once. It takes them 10 minutes and we can pin till the end of the word for them. And the other question was, how did I came up with the idea? I had started a blog in the beginning of 2017, and for the first 10 months I wasn't really getting any awesome results when it comes to traffic. I was averaging 700 people on my blog coming from Pinterest. I didn't really have any other source of traffic to my blog at this point. And after those 10 months, I knew that in 2 months I'm going to pay for hosting again. It was my first website ever. And I realized that, well, I'm not able to make any money with this blog if I don't have people. So people don't click on any of my affiliate links. I cannot really monetize the blog. So I was digging into how can I get traffic from Pinterest, because I knew that a lot of bloggers are getting tons of traffic from Pinterest. So I spent some time, I figured out my idea of how to do it. Plus I didn't want to do the manual pinning because I got access to a lot of group boards, and pinning manually to all those group boards my own content was, first of all, very, very time consuming. And second of all, it was a headache because you cannot pin the same pin over and over. It's like if you were to imagine if you had, let's say, 100 Instagram accounts, because normally you have one account, right? So every day you can post a brand new picture, and that's fine, right? You cannot post the same picture over and over because people will be like surprised, like, why are you doing that? It's boring. Like, we don't want to see the same stuff over and over. So now not only you have to post different things every day to your account, but you have 200 accounts and all of them have to have different content. So how to do it manually, it's just time consuming, it's very much overhead. So you can create tons of awesome pins that lead to your content. You don't really have to have like a lot of content, like 90 pieces of content is still fine. For each piece of content, you can create 5 different looking pins that would lead to that content. So that all multiplies. And then with the way we build it, it's all being shuffled. So you're not able to pin the same pin to the same board more frequent than once per month. You're not pinning the same pin across the board at the same day. So you're basically not spamming the tool, the Pinterest. And if you do that, like, Pinterest can throw you away from their platform. That's why we made sure that it won't happen. So it helps you a lot. So I did it for myself, and then in the first month I noticed that the jump in my page views from 700 to 3,300, that was 420% increase. And then the next month I got 8,500 people on my blog, and I was surprised. Like, I didn't expect 12 times this amount of traffic in 2 months, just because I did some SEO, just because I did some changes when it comes to my account. And then all the other thing was PinMeApp was repeating my content. And PinMeApp is now repeating my content for the past 2 years, and I'm averaging around 17,000 page views per month. I'm not creating new content, not recreating new pins. So all that traffic goes to the content that I posted 2 years ago. It's just because PinMeApp is still repeating that.
And you're still getting 17,000 views?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now it's like 800 per day. So
that's amazing.
Compared to what it was 2 years ago, it was per month. Now it's per day.
That's amazing.
Any of my time, which is the best, because I don't have to do nothing, and I know that every day I'm gonna get 800 people now. More.
That's amazing. Yeah. So what I think one of the things that you did that was very, very smart with Pin Me App, and the website's pinmeapp.com,
Yeah.
is you tapped into an existing ecosystem. And so Pinterest already exists, it's gigantic,
Yeah. It's
and having something that can play in that ecosystem, there's already just this ripe market right there, which was a hugely smart thing to do, and it worked for you really quickly. It works super well for people. Talk about, I know that it took a while, as these things do, right? People don't get it. How long did it take, and how hard was it to build?
So for me, I think the whole build of the backend of the functionality, it took us around 1 week. But
Yeah.
to do the whole thing, like the front end, that the user can log in, then the user can do their own setup, and the user can see different analytics. All of that took around a year.
Yeah.
So the working part wasn't that hard, but all the beauty of having it customized, that everyone can set up their own schedule, that we can connect through API, and we don't see any of our user data. We don't really care what their names are. We just see basically their email addresses.
Sure.
So connect, and we see their Pinterest accounts. That's basically it. We don't really want to see much more.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. And so people are, let's talk about the business model a little bit. How are you monetizing the software? How are you making money on it?
So this is a subscription tool, which basically means people are buying subscription for a month or for a year. And we have two plans: basics and premium. The basic plan is for 10 jobs. So a job is basically one time slot where we are repinning from source board to target board. So let's say if you have blog or site, like one topic, and you have boards where you are repinning the same content, you can be fine with 1 to 3 jobs. But if you have something like me, like a lifestyle blog where you write about beauty and food and fashion and travel and all the other stuff, you are not necessarily going to repin pins about food to travel related boards, right? You're only gonna repin food related pins to food boards, travel related pins to travel boards, if you have access to those group boards that are very, very specific and niche down. And then for some group boards that are big, they have lots of contributors, lots of pins. So there's a lot of content being added there daily. So you don't want to pin just once a day. You want to pin at least 3-4 times a day, so that it's possible for users when they scroll through to see your content there. There are smaller group boards where maybe there's just 20 contributors. They don't repin daily. So you don't want to pin way too much. You don't want to spam the group board with just your content. So you have to figure out like how often do you want to pin. So you can, if you want to pin to certain boards, like say 3 times a day, you're going to create 3 different jobs, because that would be the same target and the same source, but different time slot. So that's how you determine whether you're on the basic or the premium. And so the basic is 10 jobs and the premium is 100 boards. And when it comes to pricing, we charge $10 per month for the basic, 15 for the premium, and then for the yearly 100 and 150.
So
and it saves you lots of hours, lots of hours if you were to do it on your own.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's totally, I mean, you could have a full-time position in your company to do this kind of thing. Yeah, it's amazing. So how did you, when you were trying to decide on, should you have a free version? How much should you charge? All of that. How did you come to the conclusion to have this no free version and then 2 tiers of paid version?
Sure. So we actually have free version. It's like 1 month of free trial.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
can
Okay.
check it out for free. You're getting the premium package, so you can test it out whether you need more than 10 or no. So it's better for you to decide whether you can stick with the basic and go with the premium. When it comes to the price point, I think $10 is, so little that everyone can afford it. I want it to
Right.
be super affordable. I don't want, if you were to spend 2 hours daily on pinning, it's 60 hours per month. If you want to pay someone even, in low cost country, even like $5 per hour, it's gonna be $300 that you're going to spend for something that you can spend $10 on. So I
Right.
wanted it to be like a no-brainer. And all the time that you actually are spending on the platform is just looking for the analytics. And it shouldn't take you more than 1 hour like per month.
Yeah.
Just to make
That's
sure that you're good with SEO, that no pins are like, empty, that they're just there for decoration, because it's not about that. Like Pinterest is not a decoration tool. Uh,
right.
all about the search engine that reads code. So you need to make sure that it's all SEO optimized. So we have a health board report where you can just basically input the link to your board, and you're able to see all the pins you have there, all the SEO keywords, hashtags, everything you added there. Whether it's there, if you see there's an empty spot, you can just click edit and add all the necessary information.
Yeah, that's amazing. So was it hard to how much through this process of developing it, how much of the process was like going through the user interface part, figuring out what you actually want displayed, and how much of it was actually just programmers coding?
Hmm. Hmm. I think had so many ideas as of what I want to have in the app, but it was always like what I would like to find out. I'm
Mm,
like, am I pinning to all boards? Because I have like 200 boards, so I wanted to make sure that
wow.
when I did my schedule, whether I covered all the boards, whether they all appear in the target boards, whether I can, I wanted to see whether I'm not pinning at the same time several times, because in my case, I think I have like 20 or 30 jobs at this point, because my blog is lifestyle. So I didn't want to have like, a lot of time pinning, let's say at 11, and then have like 50 pins going at the same time. So we created like an overview where you can see like on for the whole day where when are you pinning, so that you're not pinning at like one point, that it's all spread out. um so yeah, there was a lot of time like thinking, oh, should we add it? Sometimes we had an idea, but then we would abandon it. We used Trello to like write down all the ideas that we had, and then we had some calm like, okay, let's abandon this.
Yeah.
And then some ideas were like, okay, we will probably do it, but when we have more users and they actually want it, because we didn't want to extend, the build out, just because we wanted to make it super fancy. So we
Yeah.
had to, okay, let's just do it simple at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the best way to get to market by far. So are you planning on adding new things in the next year?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. At what rate? Like when do you think your next feature releases will be?
Definitely in 2020 will
Yeah,
be adding new features. I cannot say time wise,
sure.
but
I totally get it. Yeah. That's
like it's
awesome.
changing all the time, so we have to adapt to all the changes, and sometimes they hide some information, sometimes they change the way we can connect to them, and we are not really being informed about every decision they make, so we have to
Sure.
find out on our own.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things we talked about beforehand is what one thing to understand when you're doing an app, when you're doing a software, is you're usually integrating with others. In your case, you're very heavily integrated with Pinterest. Often apps are integrated with Facebook, at least for signing in, or there's Stripe or PayPal, or yeah, you're often using like 3 to 5 APIs.
Yeah.
You're using other people's software, and if they zig, now you have to zag. Like you just have to move along with it, and you have to make changes. And in our case, now yours is a web app, but if you have an iOS or Android app, and Apple or Google change something, you have to go with the flow. Like they're the boss. It's their store. It's their shelf. Um, but yeah, if you have a good team in place, which you do, then you're able to get to the other side of things for sure. So So are you planning on adding another tier, or will it be that you're just adding more features for the same kind of pricing?
No, I don't think we will be changing pricing. I think that the pricing will stay the same.
Yeah.
Um, what we do additionally also for the users when they sign up for the newsletter, we'll send them some tips that I don't publish, like on my YouTube or on my blog. I just give them like some additional tips. So that's an additional benefit. Like I spend so much time on Pinterest and like researching and finding out like all the new information. Plus,
Right.
I manage a few accounts, so that's why I want to share it with my users that they know what to do, because there's so much information that's like completely, I don't know where people figure those
Right.
things out. It's completely inaccurate, so I try to make sure that
Hmm.
my people are not
Yeah.
when it comes to Pinterest.
Yeah, I totally get that. So before we go, do you have any tips for people who they have an app idea, they've never created something like this before? What are some things that you would want people to know that are getting into this type of project for the first time?
So from my experience, like I did it everything from not the way people usually do it. So I first figure out that I want to have the app. I build it for myself. I realized that the results are amazing. And I knew that it's a huge market because Pinterest is right now at 300 million users. 2 years ago, there were only 150. They doubled in size in 2 years.
Wow.
And when I created Pin Me Up, I didn't have I didn't have Pin Me Up blog. I didn't have Facebook account where I would share Pinterest information. I didn't have YouTube. So like no one really knew who I am. So I had
Hmm.
to create it later and then let people know that, hey, by the way, I have this app. Usually people go around it the other way around. So they first create like a Facebook group and they share the knowledge, the value that they have. And then once they build the group of people that trust them, they have like 5,000 users or so. Then
Right.
they try to check like what kind of product can I sell to those people,
Yeah.
and that's how they go about it. I did the other way around. I first created the product, and then I started to find the people that I can sell it to, because it's way better when you are the brand, when people are buying from you, than if I were to go to influencers, tell them, hey, let's talk about my product, let's talk about my product, let's talk about my product.
I think that's a really good piece of advice. Yeah, like and along with that, just yeah, leaning on developing a personal brand
Yeah,
and getting that out there. Yeah, the way
definitely.
you did it was great. And then also knowing your market, because that's one thing I'll say that you have by far more than the average app owner I've met is you are a flat out expert in Pinterest. You really know your market, which I'm sure helped build the best tool possible.
Yeah, I was the user who was just frustrated that like I didn't want to waste time on something that can be automated.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
knew the best person to create the app for me.
Right.
So
Yeah. Well, I love it. And by the way, congratulations. It is a beautiful app. And I'm really happy for you. It's going well for you. And I'm excited to see what happens in the next year.
thank
So
you.
everybody be sure go to pinmeapp.com. At least get the trial. See what a good app looks like. It looks like it's a beautiful app. It has a good business model. And if you're a business person, you might consider adding Pinterest marketing to your strategy, and pinmeapp.com would be the way to go about that. So we'll link that in this episode. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing your story and telling people all about Pin Me App.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Definitely.